This time, I'm going to, without further ado, call on our very faithful Rotarian, Leslie Quinn, who for the second year is chairing the Civic Grants Committee, and ask for Leslie to take the program at this time.
Civic Grants Awards Program, I'm going to have to put my glasses on so I can read, is one of the most important things that this club does. And it was a pleasure to serve again this year as the chairman. I also was privileged to have Kathy Haynes as my co-chairman, and I want to publicly thank her for all the hard work that she did in helping do this. And before I announce the winners, I would also like to individually recognize our committee. I know that you had already had them all stand up, but I'd like to call out their names and ask you to stand up one more time, just so you can see the dedication and hardworking Rotarians that put so much time and effort into this committee. I'd ask that you stand when I call out your name. Of course, Kathy Haynes, the co-chairman, Wes Attaway, Keith Bergeron, Richard Brontoli, who also represented us very ably on the board of directors, Susan Gross, Bob Ham, Rabbi Foster Qualler, Keitha Avant Marcotte, David Melville, Bob Neff, Wayne Neeson, Renee Petrie, and Wayne Cornell. Please give them another round of applause. They all worked very hard to make sure that we were able to ably go through all the applications and make the selections. And before I recognize the winners, I would also like to tell you a little bit about this year's process and how we made our selections. We received 40 applications this year, a great number, almost, around the same number that we received last year, which at that time was the largest number we'd ever received. And they represented a very diverse group of organizations and projects. It included the field of sports, medicine, science, education, and the arts. What they all had in common was that even though some targeted specific groups or neighborhoods and some of the community at large, all were led by committed staff and volunteers that were seeking to make our community a better place and to do something truly worthwhile. And I know that in our committee discussions and the votings and the ranking, one thing that kept coming up the whole time was how hard it was going to be to make choices between all of the great and worthwhile organizations that submitted applications. There were so many that we kept wishing we had more money to hand out, but we finally narrowed the field down to 4 and just kept awarding money till we ran out of money. The funds that were available this year were $20,000 on all, that was raised through our Dragon Boat Festival fundraiser. And all of these that were selected, we felt fit into the club's criteria for the grants. And those criteria are, they must be benefit local residents and provide opportunities for club members to participate if they so wish, and also to fit into the club's priorities for the civic projects, which include education, social services, and community development. There should be a recognition of our club as a sponsor of the project so that the community knows what is being done with the funds that we raise through our Dragon Boat Festival. We want them to know where their money is going when they support the festival. And then finally, that the maximum amount for any award would be $5,000. So I won't go into all the minute details of the voting, but in general, we started with a blank slate, had all the committee members pick their top 5 and rank them in order of how far, whether they were number 1 through 5, and we assigned scores to those. And then we tallied up all those scores, came back as a committee, looked at where those rankings were, and we took the ones that had seemed to have the most broad support because they were on more than one list, or several members were supporting it, and also that they were pretty highly ranked. Then we voted again to try to narrow down to those ones that we finally selected. And I will tell you, it was very hard. There were so many good applications and so many worthwhile projects, and we really were disappointed that we could not pick more. But now comes the fun part. This is where we get to hand out the checks. So each of the 4 organizations are represented here today, and I'm going to ask that as I call their names, that you come to the podium, and we've asked each one of them to spend just a few minutes telling you about their project and what the money's going to be used for, and how you might be able to participate if you would like to. So the first recipient, this is in no particular order of how we rank them. The first one is the Gingerbread House, their child advocacy program, and they are represented today by Jessica Miller, their executive director.
Thank you very much for having me out for lunch today. I want to just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about our program. And I'll start off with the statistics, which are numbers, right? And so we all tend to forget numbers. They're kind of easy to tuck away in your back pocket. But then I just want to spend a minute or two and share a couple of the stories so that you can have a name, a face to put with the many, many children that we help. As many of you know, the Gingerbread House is the Children's Advocacy Center for Northwest Louisiana. We actually serve the 9 parishes that make up our little corner of the state, everything in the 4th and 5th congressional districts. Our services we have many, but I'm going to focus on one in particular to share with you, our forensic interview program. And that is where children who have been victims of sexual or severe physical abuse, instead of having to tell their story to the police, to a doctor, to the DA, to Child Protective Services, they come to one facility where we have trained child forensic interviewers who meet with them. We audio and video record their story so that they don't have to tell it over and over again. And then that audio recording is later on used to prosecute the cases in criminal court. I'd like to tell you that we serve about a dozen or so a year, but the sad reality is that last year in 2011, we served 785 children between the ages of 2 and 14. That is brand new cases, does not include any of the carryovers that we have from year to year. In addition to that, we provided counseling services for 297 children last year, and prevention education in Caddo and Bossier schools and in the community for 10,672 children. And so, what are the numbers? Who are these kids? Well, they're the 5-year-old little boy who at an oncology camp, yes, that's right, he was already suffering from cancer, was molested by one of the counselors, the camp counselors there. It's the 9-year-old little girl who went to spend the night with her friend from school who was molested by the mother's boyfriend who was there at the home. It's the 6-year-old girl who came to us a week before Christmas about 4 years ago and refused to talk to any of our interviewers, which is very strange. We have a rather child-friendly facility and we have great staff, very low turnover, and so children are often curious and want to see the backside of the facility, and so they will willingly come and talk to the interviewers. This little girl actually hid underneath a wooden bench in the waiting area and she refused to go back. Well, our mission above and beyond is to cause no further trauma, so at no point do we force a child to tell beyond what they're ready to. So I sat down on the floor next to her and just kind of, try to open the door and just see what was going on, and we had just received a donation from the Girl Scouts, being that it was right before Christmas, of stockings filled with candy and so forth, and I said, would you like to pick one out? I knew that the forensic interview was not going to happen on that particular day. She was going to come back at a later time, and she nodded her head, and then she stood there, and I was thinking, gosh, maybe she doesn't find something that she likes. And she said to me, I can't pick one out for me unless you have one for my brother and my sister. She was 6. She said, my sister's 4, my brother is 1. I said, sure, go ahead and, take one for them. She looked at one, and she said, this has coloring pencils, but we don't have a sharpener at home. My brother says chocolate, and he's allergic. She was 6, and she was the parent in this family. What I found out when she left, we were able to equip her with some donations that we had received, a winter coat and so forth, thanks to the generosity of the community. But what I found out when she left was, not only were we asking her to tell us about something that was so heartbreaking and difficult, she had just been removed from her home in the middle of the night. And so, as if that wasn't hard enough, she had been removed from living in a car. She lived in a car with her mother, and her brother, and her sister, and her mother was a drug-addicted mother. And as a result, she had prostituted her child out to men, numerous men, to support her drug habit for $10 a piece. She was 6 years old. Not only was that heartbreaking enough, if you just take a moment to think about it, but every time that it was her 4-year-old sister's turn to be victimized, she volunteered herself so that it wouldn't happen to her sister. And so those are the types of children that your generosity is helping to provide services for. It's not someone far removed. is kids in our very own community, children who have no one else to turn to, no other place to go for help. And so through the grant funds that we have received or will be receiving here today, we are able to maintain every service that we offer: forensic interviews, counseling, prevention, sometimes clothing, whatever it is that these children need. We're able to do that at zero cost to that family, so that no child is ever turned away due to the family's inability to pay for services. So on behalf of the children that we serve, I am humbled and honored to stand before you today and to accept the award for the Gingerbread House. Thank you.
Judy, are you photographing?
Thank you.
So you can see how hard it was to pick winners for these awards, because we had a lot of wonderful stories like that through all of the applications. Our next recipient is the David Raines Community Health Center, their Smile for a Child Dental Sealant Program, and they're represented here today by their CEO, Willie C. White III, their COO, Murtis Edwards, and Audrey Flournoy, their Community Director Coordinator.
Good afternoon. On behalf of David Raines Community Health Centers and the 60,000 patients that we serve in this community and throughout Northwest Louisiana, I want to thank the Rotary for this honor. The Smile for a Child program is one of the programs that David Raines Community Health Center started several years ago to reach school-age children who otherwise would not have the opportunity perhaps to even see a dentist. And the program focuses on the 6 and 12-year enrollers, and that translates into children who are first and second grade, or fourth or fifth, sixth grade perhaps, and gives them an opportunity to save those teeth, those back teeth that are so difficult to clean and take care of. And in many cases, we see children who have not had the opportunity for dental education. And so by providing this particular service, at no charge to those students, it's a free service that we provide. And we do it on site at the schools with our portable equipment, and we have a mobile dental van that goes out to the schools. We're able to impact the oral health of those children. And we have found, and the statistics show, that these sealants can be 98 to 100% effective in reducing the incidence of cavities in those teeth. Any of us in this room who's ever had a toothache, and I suspect there are many of us, know that oral health is a huge problem in our school and with our children. They can't learn if they have a toothache, in addition to other problems that they may have, but certainly oral health is a major problem when it comes to school-age children. Now, David Raines is pleased to be able to say that we've been a part of this community for 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary with an annual banquet on August the 23rd. And that banquet is dedicated to scholarships for health careers. And hopefully many of the persons who will be able to take advantage of that scholarship will go into oral health or dental area. And so we're very pleased to be able to provide these services. We cover not only the Shreveport area, but we cover Cattle Parish, Bossier, Webster, and Claiborne parishes with 5 locations. In addition to the dental services that we provide, we also provide medical and behavioral and pharmacy services as well. So David Raines stands ready to continue to provide services to the community, to be a part of the community, and we are extremely excited about this opportunity, and want to again thank the Rotary. Also, Dr. David Ballou, who is a member of this club, who is a dentist with David Raines Community Health Center, has been a huge supporter of our services and our organization. Again, we'd like to thank all of you for allowing David Raines this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, our next recipient is the Northwest Louisiana Food Bank, and it's represented by Martha Merrick, the Executive Director.
Well, thank you so much. The food bank, as y'all probably all know, provides food for 7 parishes of Northwest Louisiana for people women, children, senior citizens that live below the poverty level and just don't have enough money for food. We know that 1 in 5 people in our community are food insecure, which means they're not sure where their next meal is coming from. There are 2 groups, children and seniors, that we have some extra programs for. One of them is our Senior Box Program, and we are the grant recipient for our Senior Box Program. I brought one of our boxes as a little visual, has our Rotary logo on it, and every 3rd Tuesday, Rotarians are invited to come to the food bank, and we actually pack these boxes, and then we in turn distribute them to seniors who are shut in, who don't have the ability to get out to pantries and locations where we have food throughout the community. It's a great project. I invite you all to come. Our next time we're going to pack boxes is May the 15th at 5 o'clock. And it's real easy. We're in and out in about 45 minutes to an hour. Just email me if you're interested. But on behalf of our board of directors and our staff, I thank Shreveport Rotary Club so much for this wonderful grant and the support that y'all give us to continue to do what we do. So thank you.
All right, and our final recipient is Westwood Elementary. Their food in a backpack program, and they're represented today by Principal Roderick Brown, Community Coordinator Tina Adams, and Renee Lewis, the counselor.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for the award. I wrote the civic project to enhance our food in a backpack program because going along with the students who need food in a backpack also goes those students who are in need of clothes, coats, shoes, socks, toiletries, and everything else. So with our funding at our school, we can now provide a clothes closet that will stock those additional items, uniforms, toiletries, socks, shoes, coats, and jackets before it become cold that we were unable to secure last year. Now, I invite the Rotarians to come by our school on any given Friday to volunteer at 1:30. We started out with about 37 students at the beginning of the school year, and right now we have between 52 to 54 students that we serve. So from now, when I think of the Rotary Club, I would think of first one Chinese philosopher who said, kindness in words create confidence kindness in thinking creates profoundness, but kindness in giving creates love. And Edward Markham, famous poet, he said, there is a destiny that makes us brothers. None goes his way alone. All that we send into the lives of others come back into your own. So it is our wish, and we're proud, that your wheel will keep turning with blessings for each and every one of you. So on behalf of Westwood Elementary School students, faculty and staff, our principal, Mr. Roger Brown, Ms. Woods, our counselor, and yours truly, we are appreciative, and thanks again for your generosity.